Welcome to Around the Cinema. We don't usually talk about sports on here, but I'd like to congratulate the USC Trojans on their 59-9 win this weekend.
Against Idaho. Idaho.
Hey,
the Idaho
That's
Vandals.
still a lot of points. Anyway, this is a movie show, as many of you will know. I am your host, Michael Schatz. I am joined here by Ryan Wilborn, Emily Rua, and Matt Zunick, and we are here to talk this weekend about the box office totals for the new movies and the movies that have been able to keep their box office numbers up. And then after that, we will be discussing Max Landis' Twitter rant about American Ultra. The winner of this weekend was The Perfect Guy, and right behind that was M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit, so a close race between those two very different movies. War Room stayed strong. Following that is A Walk in the Woods, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Straight Outta Compton, No Escape, Transporter Refueled, which went down 63%.
That's okay.
Despite us recommending Sleeping with Other People, it was only able to garner 103,000. So, what do we think of these numbers? Perfect Guy versus The Visit.
I loved The Visit. I saw that, and I think that I'm really happy that people went out to see that movie. I think that it's original, it's different, and you know, it's a decent comeback for M. Night Shyamalan.
You mentioned it was original. How close was it to the whole Hansel and Gretel thing with the evil granny and the oven thing?
In the oven, sweetie. It has a little bit of that, and it's an interesting story. I think that they really cast it well. I think that child actors can either make or break a movie.
Yeah.
And these ones, they felt real. The brother-sister dynamic was I think, one of the realest portrayals I've seen in recent years on film, because they had the right amount of teasing one another and then getting along, which I think is different, because normally you only see constant teasing and then at the end they learn a lesson and get together. And this one I just thought was real and fun, and I think it was marketed a little incorrectly. It's much more of a comedy than a horror.
I like that. I like comedy horror films.
On purpose.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was on purpose.
Very good.
I saw it in a theater, which I think is a great place to go see it, so I'm glad people are going out to see this one. I don't think it'll play as well, just by yourself at home watching the DVD.
Okay. Well, I definitely, it's the top. I was very busy this weekend. I did recommend it, but it is the top of my to-see list right now, is The Visit. Is there anything else we wanted to discuss with that? I mean, War Room we discussed last week, surprisingly only went down 21%. Everything else is hanging around the 40%, which is the average. Yeah. And then Transporter dropping 63%. We predicted that.
Nobody asked for this to be remade.
Well, I mean, September, early to late September is kind of a dump area. It's kind of
exactly
like
what Jamie said.
But it is. It's kind of like the January and February of the later in
It's
the
your
year.
tax write-off for your failures.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's not a tent pole necessarily, but it's not Oscar caliber either. It's not warm up for the summer. It's just kind of
It's the Tuesday of the week. It's the Tuesday.
Exactly.
It's a season where they finally put out some horror films, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's
that
the ones
season.
looking for
That's
the
true.
Halloween bump. Like, oh, it's Halloween, that box office. Oh, look, it's a nice bump in the box
Which
office.
is silly, and if you have a horror movie, release it another time of the year so you're not competing with every other horror movie.
This is a very good point.
That's true.
Our second topic is, unfortunately, the not good numbers for the movie American Ultra, which I very much enjoyed. We'll get into that. The writer Max Landis went on a Twitter rampage of just tweets. It's like one big rant over a series of many tweets, which I'll read here now, and then we'll discuss it, because I believe there's some dissent amongst our crowd here. So here's an interesting question. American Ultra finished dead last at the box office behind even Mission Impossible and Man from U.N.C.L.E. American Ultra was also beaten by the critically reviled Hitman Agent 47 and Sinister, despite being a better reviewed film than either. Which leads me to a bit of a conundrum. Why? American Ultra had good ads, big stars, a fun idea, and honestly it's a good movie. Certainly better, in the internet's opinion, than other things released the same day. If you saw it, you probably didn't hate it. So I'm left with an odd thing here, which is that American Ultra lost to a sequel reboot, a biopic, a sequel, and a reboot. It seems the reviews didn't even matter. The movie didn't matter. The argument that can/will be made is big level original ideas don't equal money. The question is, has that changed? I wish I could say that Ultra was a bad movie, but it isn't. Divisive, sure, but better than others this week. Am I wrong? Is trying to make an original movie in a big way just not a valid career path anymore for anyone but Tarantino and Nolan? That's the question. Am I wrong? Are original ideas over? I certainly wanted to pose this to the public because I feel, put lightly, confused. I feel like I learned a lesson here, but have no idea what it is. I once joked that there's only so many times that people will go see Thor 2. Now I'm not so sure. I gotta get back to working on my TV shows, which are both adaptations. Go see American Ultra, it's really good. Sorry about what was perceived as negativity on here. If you know me, you know I'm all about passion for stories and honesty in my industry. I have met Max Landis. I was at one of his Nerf Wars, and he is a very passionate person, so I can say that he's not trying to be negative here. He, of course, is supporting his own movie, but having seen American Ultra, I think it is a good movie. I think that it is a fun idea. I enjoyed the ads a lot. I thought the posters were very good. I want at least one of those on my wall. And you can't argue that it does have big stars. Whatever you think about Kristen Stewart, there's a fine following for her Twilight. And then I certainly have seen her act well in other movies. And Jesse Eisenberg I've always enjoyed. I now put this to my panel here.
Well, I think he says some very interesting things in his Twitter rant. He says that it has good ads, good stars, good
and a fun idea.
And a fun idea. I have not seen American Ultra, but I do know the idea behind it, and I do think the idea is fun. On the topic of ads, though, and bankable stars, I think that's where American Ultra has a very serious problem. It's, you know, I can't speak for the movie, but I can say that I was very turned off by the ads.
Okay.
And very turned off by the posters because I didn't know what I was being sold. And, you know, there's sometimes, you know, a trailer can misguide you in something. And I just, you know, I'd watched the trailer for American Ultra and I was like, what is this? And what does the title mean? And I'm not saying that the trailer has to tell me everything about the movie, but it has to sell me on the tone, the feel, and I should have kind of an understanding of what the title means. Like, maybe not a complete understanding, but some basic foundation. American Ultra, even from the idea of the movie, I still don't know what that title means. And maybe I need to see the movie to really...
It's in the movie. It's clear in the movie, but I can see where you say from the title that doesn't tell you anything. But I very much got the idea of the tone, at least in the ads. It's my kind of tone. That's why I saw, oh, that's a movie that I want to see.
But yeah, and it might just be me. But clearly it wasn't just me because unfortunately it did not
achieve very well. A lot of people didn't see. Did you like the ads?
I remember when we were in the theater, because we had seen the ad for the first time together, that I told you as soon as that movie hits, we need to put that on the list. Now, you were working, I was working, we weren't able to see it. Now I'm going to lose that chance because it's probably going to be removed before I get a chance to go this weekend, and that's very unfortunate. I am not a huge fan of Kristen Stewart. So star power does not sell me on anything, because I've seen amazing actors like Tom Hanks go do Cloud Atlas and totally make me think differently.
Or incredibly loud and extremely close, or whatever the hell that guy did.
Yeah, exactly. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think that also speaks to a bigger thing that's happening in Hollywood right now. Is it used to be that in order for a movie to sell and hit with the public, you had to have bankable stars. That isn't the case anymore.
That is true. No,
and in this case, and again, I know that
it is the foundation of his whole argument.
Well, I'll say the idea of not having stars. I mean, that's something that Sinister. What are we on now? Sinister 2, right?
Yeah, Sinister 2 came out.
There's not necessarily stars in that. And the thing is that, again, that beat that movie out, and that has nobody that we can name here amongst all of us, and we're movie people.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about, again, and I support Max Landis' position wholeheartedly, because we will continue on that in a moment, but the idea of saying bankable stars, Kristen Stewart's demographic cannot go see a rated R movie.
This is true. This is true.
So,
but that was only one part.
But is Kristen Stewart the selling point, or is because what you're referring to is Twilight, and
that's the majority of what she's known for.
Yes, but is she the bankable element to that movie,
Absolutely
or is the
not.
franchise of Twilight the bankable element?
That's fair.
Yeah.
So she's not actually a bankable
She's
star.
been typecast.
The name
that's the problem.
Twilight is a bankable star. Yeah, the franchise, unfortunately, is. I mean, I agree with Max Landis wholeheartedly, like you said, but unfortunately, we are in an era in Hollywood where the franchise is the star, not the actor.
And that's what I think what his point is like,
Yeah.
this is a fun idea and it had good ads. And for me, I think it was a good ad because it sold the tone, at least to me. And I kind of got an idea for the story. He's like this guy, he's a part of a government program, he doesn't remember that, and now he's woken up and he's killing CIA agents, which I think is funny. But that's what I think his point is like, we either have to tell the entire story in the trailer, or it has to be something like, oh, this is part of something that you're familiar with, a book, a video game, a comic book, something like that. And that he could have a point, and that could be a problem.
Yeah.
It's a serious problem because I challenge the Academy to put out a a moratorium to where 1 year, just give it one season, that if you want to be considered for an Academy Award or a Golden Globe or for any other award, that you cannot put out and register a biopic, a sequel, a prequel, a reboot, a remake. I guarantee the entire film industry will fall and plummet, and we will all lose our jobs right here in this room. Because it's not
I'm working on an original movie.
it's not because
I work
the
in
industry.
television, sir.
It's not because the industry can't handle it. It's because most people that are watching movies nowadays in actual theaters, mind you, it costs $12 to see a movie, sometimes $15. It's not $4 like it did when we were growing up. And I know
That's
there's
why I
still
have a
areas.
movie pass.
Exactly.
Give me an endorsement.
Movie pass.
It was Fox, I believe, that released American Ultra. I might be wrong on that, but I think it was.
I think you're right.
Yeah. You know, for them, like, they invested $28 million, I think was the official posted budget, was $20 million. So we can assume there's probably a little bit more in there for prints and advertising. So to make any money back, they have to make $50 million. And, you know, if American Ultra doesn't make that, I mean, yeah, it does.
And right now it's sitting at 14 million. It's grossed
Yeah.
14 million. They're
Yeah.
in trouble.
I don't think that you need to spend that much on the movie to make a good movie. Like the original Paranormal Activity, that was no money spent on it, and the advertising for that was brilliant. It had no real shots from the movie. It was just it was something that grabbed
gimmicky,
people,
yeah.
and it became a cultural event. You wanted to go see it. They have to get more creative with how they do their advertising, and I think that really you don't necessarily need movies with that huge a budget.
But American Ultra comparatively is not that big a budget compared to so many things made nowadays. That's the depressing thing is like, wow, if we can't even get our money back on a $20 million movie that's original, we're going to only, if anything's going to be, because I mean, Paranormal Activity, be fair, it's all shot in one room.
Most
Yeah,
of it,
but you know what? It's an engaging story that was
No,
a
no,
fun thing for
and-
the
and-
audience.
No, that
And
was
it
very, I'm not
made
saying anything, nothing
for-
against it. It's very clever, but like there's also really good original ideas that are going to require a little bit more than a cheap HVX and one house.
Yeah. So it's either go big or go home, really.
Which is a shame because
yeah.
I want to believe there's a market for those middle ground movies. And I think maybe Emily's right. Maybe it just needs more creative advertisement that can capture someone's imagination from the get-go. Do something where it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be completely left out if I don't see this movie.
Well, I do agree with everything that everybody has said because I want to see original stuff in every medium. Like
Yeah.
I want original music, I want all that stuff. Like looking at American Ultra posters, trailers, TV spots, I was looking at that like I don't quite know what that is. I'll find out, but I'll find out on Netflix.
Which
Well-
is why Netflix gets to corner it because it's amazing what
Hopefully
We love
Ameri-
Netflix.
we love Netflix.
Another
Sponsor
endorsement
us.
possibility? Yes, please.
Memberships.
But I think that's why people need to go out and see things like this year Horror Fest is back, the 8 Films to Die For. They release
I'm going to put a little here. 8filmstodiefor.com.
yes, because they release 8 pretty much independent horror films and put them in theaters for people to see. I don't know how big it's going to be yet. They haven't released all the details, but in past years they did it 4 times previously, and they released these films in theaters around the country so that I could see them out here. My dad in Buffalo could go see them, and
That's
that
a
was
great.
amazing.
That's a great
way.
service.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, hopefully American Ultra will find a second life on Netflix. There's been plenty of good movies that have had a second life. I mean, Shawshank Redemption, IMDb's #1 movie, did not do well in the box office. So,
Scott Pilgrim too didn't do well.
yeah,
in the box
that's right.
office, but it
It's a
has
brilliant movie.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, thank God for the home video and internet for giving good movies second chances. And Max Landis, if you're seeing this, if you want to come on here and talk about it, the offer is still open. Join
That's
us.
a good fight, buddy.
Yep. Join us Wednesday for talk about Wes Craven.